This is America. The greatest atrocity against mankind. American chattel slavery. If you traced your lineage, what would you find? Do you know where your roots lead to?
Grace and peace, Black family. This is Vicky Dillard, your sister with the curly braids. And I want you to get ready for the new Master Elements project, The Spear and the Shield.
This vaccine isn't experimental. It's like a dandelion. You overlook it for they weird science.
DJ RP Beats and Sincere Love the God have taken this time during the pandemic to carefully craft the soundtrack to Black empowerment with hot tracks like God Mine, featuring Sadat X of the legendary group Brand Nubians.
We never die. I made an ancestral shrine. Let's see what's in the God's mind. Listen, I'm a law in the person of Sincere Love the God. That mean your arms too short like Tar Anthony Shaw.
God painted me black.
God painted me black. Thanks for that. I'm a bitch man.
A letter to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing.
I say to the ancestors, dear Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, I just wanted to thank you for all the lessons you left us. So yes, I'm more than grateful.
And the controversial song Buck Breaking God today.
Why every black show they gotta have a transgender? Either I'm crazy or there's gotta be a planned agenda.
Get ready, Black family. This is a much needed project. This is The Spear and the Shield.
Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that and the kids still can't pass the test. So don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing fucking ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious. So I move.
Yes, indeed.
I like that line. I like that line.
I was gonna ask you how you feel about that intro right there.
I like that one. Waiting for a red and blue D to stick you. Yeah, that's kind of what's been going on in politics.
Man. George Carlin with the facts.
With the facts. I was like, whoa.
Yes, indeed, man. What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of Sincere Love the GodCast. I am the God, Sincere Love, here with my lovely co-host, nyctegur. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Sunday.
I don't know if it's, well, yeah, Sunday, because you know, the topic of the day, Sunday, yeah.
Yes, indeed. It is Sunday. How's everybody feeling, man? Hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, head on over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new episodes of Sincere Love the GodCast. We do this every Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. And also make sure y'all check us out for our weekly series called the Black Business Showcase. And we usually do that on Wednesday and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, where we bring on business owners and entrepreneurs, interview them about their story, and chop up good game about business.
Amen.
Make sure y'all check us out for all of that good stuff. Hit that like button, family. Hit that like button, man. We got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do. Ooh.
I feel kind of like overwhelmed with this broadcast a little bit. I feel like underprepared and overwhelmed. Like it's no way to be prepared to break all of this yay shit down. Just the yay shit alone.
Just the yay shit alone. We're going to hit y'all with some news, you know, as it pertains to us, you know, but we're going to definitely jump right into the yay thing because it's just a lot of stuff to unpack, to be honest.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, man. Anybody who tries to simplify the things that we are seeing on the Kanye side of things is being intellectually dishonest. Mm-hmm. It is a very complex thing to take a look at, to observe, and to try to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Right. The story just keeps growing, you know what I'm saying, as the days go on. I thought I knew what angle I wanted to talk about it, you know, when I was creating the flyer and all of that. And then today, the Drink Champs
Release
interview
more.
drops. Oh, it came out yesterday, I think, but I saw it today. I was seeing clips and stuff this morning. I'm like, yo, I need the full joint. It was hard to find the full joint. And somebody sent me a link. And I think that was the full thing. It said to be
I think so
continued
too.
at the end.
Yeah, the one link you got is the same one I looked at. I haven't seen anything else out there. Now I have heard other people say that Revolt removed it.
It's not on
So-
Revolt. It's not on
Huh?
Revolt. It's not on Revolt. But
Okay,
I
they
think
were a
sometimes what
sponsor
they
or
do,
something? Because I keep seeing Revolt as a tagline. So were they a sponsor of, or are they some type of sponsor
no,
for
Drink Champs is on Revolt. Drink Champs
Okay.
is part of Revolt. But it's not on their YouTube channel, is what I'm saying. They have a couple of clips up there of Nori just kind of responded to the George Floyd thing with that everybody's talking about, the George
Right.
Floyd comments that everybody's talking about. But I think sometimes what they do is they'll broadcast the full interview and then they'll take it down just so they can release clips. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to kind of, milk it as much as they can. Sometimes that's what they do. I don't know if this is the case, if they just took, because
I don't either.
sometimes they just put the whole interview up there and they'll still break it down. But sometimes a lot of the big channels, that's what they'll do. They'll broadcast the full live interview or the live broadcast, and then they'll take it down so that they can edit it and put up different clips throughout the week or throughout the coming weeks, just so they could milk the views as much as possible. And so hopefully, I don't know, hopefully that's what they're doing. It said to be continued at the end. I seen like something that was like 40-something minutes long.
That's the one I got.
Yeah, and it said to be continued. So I guess there's more to it, but that's what we got so far. And so you want
I'm
to
seeing a lot of people being very selective about what clips they want to play. You notice, places like, we'll just say the Shade Room, Baller Alert, all those, Oppie pages, they're only focusing on that one clip where he spoke about George Floyd, but all the other truths that he was speaking and stuff like that, well, I will get into it. I don't even want to. We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. Should we just go in with the Kanye thing, or it's because there's a lot of news stories too. Like, we're not going to get to all of it. We're not. It's a lot of stuff going on. Like, it's amazing how much stuff happens in 1 week of news that is relevant to Black society. It's like, really, what's going on in our society really is what makes the world go round, because it shouldn't be this easy for us to have relevant stories to talk about week after week after week after week, because our theme doesn't change, our message doesn't change. And so the fact that so much stuff is constantly happening in the world that is relevant to what we're talking about is just amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't got to try to reach for nothing. It's just story after story that is relevant to something we're saying, whether we're talking about reparations, whether we're talking about, race soldiers, or just Black empowerment, white supremacy in general. Every single week, there's an overabundance of stories that we could use to break this shit down.
Since starting the Sincere Love the Broadcast, you know what I'm saying? Since starting the channel, or me and you starting this channel together, or, doing this together, the whole year, we've been pretty much doing the Sundays. This whole year, I think that we added the Sundays in pretty much right away. Anyway, and every Sunday the stories just write themselves in a way. The topics write themselves because the stories are always ready. There's always something going on that Black society, is a part of in one way or the other.
All right, so what you want to do? Because I don't want to not do justice to some of the stories, because it is some important things that we got in there to talk about. But if you want, because really what I want to try something different too, because no matter what we do, almost every video that we have on this channel has a strike next to it. So I'm not going to play no videos.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we could pull up the headlines or whatever the case may be and just talk about it. But I'm not going to play none of the videos. I'm not going to play nothing that is
out there. Everybody's seen it. You
know what I'm saying? But just to see if we still get the strike, because I'm like, no matter what we do, every week it's a strike on our video.
Really?
Every week. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to just test different things just to see, where YouTube is messing with us at. So you want to just go to the yay thing, or you want to get to the stories?
I want to get to there because it's one part that just really sits that resonated with me so much, and it goes back to that he said, and it brought me back to the Nick Cannon thing, basically when the rabbis were like, we need you to come to the,
All right, so hold on. Let me frame it. Hold that thought though. Let me frame it. So for people that don't know, whoever is under a rock out there living in a cave or just don't give a fuck about pop culture, don't pay Kanye no mind, but you like watching Sincere Love the Godcast, let me just frame what's been going on. So I don't know, I guess it was last week sometime, maybe a week and a half ago or whatever. How did it start?
It started with the whole not started with, but this, I think his response right now is based off of Chase closing his account and telling
right. But I'm trying to get even what led up to that, because he had got kicked off of Instagram.
He said we were Jews too.
But pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because so how it started, we'll start with the t-shirt. So how it started was at Fashion Week, I think it was in Paris or whatever the case may be. Him and Candace Owens had on the White Lives Matter shirts, and that kind of, set the internet ablaze. Everybody was responding to that. And Diddy had something to say to Kanye about that, because he was just supporting him when he was going against Adidas about something. Right. And so Diddy came out and was like, yo, I'll be trying to support you, whatever the case may be, but this White Lives Matter shit, I ain't with that. And so when Ye was responding to Diddy, he brought up a certain community, and I ain't even going to mention their name either. You know what I'm saying? But he brought up a certain community. Y'all know who that community is, the ones with the small hats. And he said, them people controlling you and they sending you to come after me or whatever the case may be. And they immediately kicked him off of Instagram. Mm-hmm. And so after he got over Instagram, he went on over to Twitter, which he wasn't active on Twitter for like a year or so. He went over to Twitter and he was like, yeah, I'm tired right now, but when I wake up, I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on a certain community. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason for this title, by the way. The title of today's broadcast is DEFCON Yay. And so that title got multiple meanings. I don't know if y'all was catching all that. I caught it. So he said we was gonna go DEFCON 3 on a certain community, right? So the title DEFCON Yay this is definitely some Kanye shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Also, I don't know about you, Nicety, but for me, I feel like there's certain parts of what we've been seeing where I can defend Kanye. You know what I'm saying?
Same here.
On some instances. So you know what I mean? This is somewhat of a defense of Kanye also.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we going DEFCON too. Just like, DEFCON, for those that don't know, that's really a defense stance in war. That's talking about a defense stance. So people's up in arms about him saying that, but he was just saying, I'm prepared to defend myself against this community. Right?
As he has the right to do. As he has the right to do. He has the right to defend he has to, the thing about it is, even if you don't agree with someone, right? A person still has their perspectives. They still have the right to say what it is that they're feeling, thinking, etc. And I don't like this whole censorship bullshit. I don't like it. He has the right to defend. He has the right to defend himself wearing that shirt, right? Mm-hmm. Now, do I agree with him wearing the shirt? Absolutely not. I don't think that he needed to wear a White Lives Matter shirt to make his point, because in the system of white supremacy, white lives have always mattered when ours didn't. So for me, he did not need to wear that shirt at all to make any points, but he has the right to express himself, and defend what it is defend whatever message that he was sending during that time.
Right. And so another thing that he tweeted was, who y'all think created cancel culture? Another reference to that community. You know what I'm saying? When he was responding to the Diddy thing and all of that. He was like, who y'all think created cancel culture? You know what I'm saying? And so now that community is up in arms, and they're doing just that. They're trying to cancel them. You know what I mean?
Are they DEFCON and Ye? Because they're defending. It seems like they're, in a sense, defending themselves by not in the wrong way, but it's a way. It's a defense mechanism, right? Right.
It's a defense to their position. You know what I'm saying? To maintaining their image and their position, and which is basically um, maintaining fear over anybody, you know what I'm saying, who has an opinion, everybody who has a free thought. You know what I'm saying? They have a certain amount of fear instilled in people that people don't even want to say their name. You know what I'm saying? But we got to be on these people's platform, and I don't want to say their name because I don't want the video to get taken down.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so it's kind of like, to me, that was almost like a chess move also on Ye's part, because him saying that and then their actions proving what he just said.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying? Their actions responding to what he's saying proves his point.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So they kind of expose themselves, but it's like people willfully are blind to these things. Like they don't want to see it for what it is. You know what I mean? And so from there, he did an interview with LeBron's team on The Shop,
which was canceled.
And they canceled it. They refused to air it because they said, you know, he was unapologetic. He was doubling down on his statements or whatever. And so they ain't trying to mess their money up. So they didn't even air it. But Drink Champs interviewed him after that. And now that's the interview that got everybody talking once again. And like you said, mainly everybody's focusing on the George Floyd thing. But go ahead with what you was going to say, the certain point that stuck out to you.
One of the points that stuck, and I looked at it this morning as well, but, you know, a certain member or a certain group, right, said that they wanted him, like they did with Nick Cannon. We want you to come to our museum. We know what that is. We want you to, you know, come to our museum and also make this donation. Although he didn't speak on the donation part, he did speak on them, you know, saying you need to come to our museum. And he said, well, you need to come to the museum that's in all our communities, which is Planned Parenthood. I thought that right there was like, I mean, that alone, I was like, huh? I'm just saying, since we're talking about, you know, museums and you want us to see, you know, the atrocity that has happened within your group, let's talk about the one that's happened and happening in ours right now today. And a lot of you are backing it and pushing it in our communities because you guys are the puppet masters. Let's be for real, you know, about it.
Another thing that he said too that goes with that is he said, you know, if one black person does something wrong, all blacks gotta wear that jacket. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of our culture. It's a pathology within black culture. If one black person does something wrong, that's attributed to all blacks. If one black person does something good, though, the rest of us don't get to share in that. They have to be individualized. But when it comes to their community, if one person does something wrong, then that's just that one person. He's a lone wolf. You can't put it on all of them because then you're going to be anti this or anti that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, this double standard, that double standard just doesn't work. The problem, there's plenty of room to criticize yet, right?
And we're going to.
Right. And there's room to criticize all of us, to be clear. You know what I'm saying? Don't none of us got it all together. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that goes without saying. People like to focus on the part that you could easily criticize and overlook the parts that are valid. You know what I'm saying? The parts that we can actually use as positive propaganda for what we're trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? They want to focus too much on the parts that's easily criticized. And it's like, okay, one thing that I will say is instead of him focusing on that particular community, he should just call it what it is, which is white supremacy. Because it's not about their so-called religion or a specific ethnic group or tribe or whatever. But then what they're practicing is old-fashioned white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why he has to juxtapose what's happening versus his blackness, versus him being labeled as black or part of the black community. He's explaining what's happening to him is happening because he's black, but then he's putting it on a certain segment, you know what I'm saying, within the white supremacist community instead of just calling it white supremacy. That's what it is. And you'll be better off just using that term than trying to specify that community, because that gives them the ammunition that they need to do some of the stuff that they're trying to do.
But I don't think that he can call it white supremacy. I don't think he understands white supremacy, perhaps. Right. And then also the people that he's aligning himself with, you know, Candace Owens, let's be for real. She's never going to call out white supremacy. Candace Owens, you know, used black people, the NAACP, when she was a victim of white racism against her, to secure her bag. And then once she
You
figured
can take
out,
the quotes off of that, by the way.
right, right. But then she found out a way to, get into whatever it is that she's into. She's now married to a white man. Now she doesn't see racism. Now racism doesn't exist. White supremacy doesn't exist because there's a bag for her to get. So if this is the type of black person that Kanye is aligning himself with, it's never going to be, he's never going to hear the word white supremacy. It's always going to be those one outs, if you will.
I agree with the first part of what you said. I don't think Ye is a person that understands white supremacy, what it is and how it works. But I also don't think that he is truly in alignment with a Candace Owens or with that whole crowd either.
You don't? Okay.
I kind of don't think so. I could be wrong, but to me, it just looks like he's using them. You know what I'm saying? The same way that they try to use people. He's like, okay, here's a third rail that I could use. You know what I'm saying? Just to get everybody up in arms. To be provocative, because that's part of his shtick, is to be provocative and to be just contrary in a way that's going to just stir things up. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's kind of using that for that. You know what I'm saying? And peace to everybody in the chat, by the way. We ain't ignoring y'all. Be one to the family. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Bessie?
Make sure y'all hit that like button, by the way.
Raz. And last name first. Peace. Welcome.
But all right. So while I'm saying that, let me talk about my take on the White Lives Matter shirt also. When the White Lives Matter shirt thing hit, I didn't feel no type of way. I didn't get excited. I wasn't posting about it. I was, I see what he was doing. I see the reaction that he was looking for, and that's the exact reaction that he got. So I was just waiting to see what the next move was, because Ye does these things to create these reactions just so he could promote whatever's coming down the pipe. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just waiting to see what that was going to be. I ain't have no feelings about that. And it just amazes me how easily Black people in particular are so triggered, man. It's like, yo, and he understands that this is what the white supremacists use, whether he wants to call it white supremacy or not. He understands that this is what the white supremacists use to control us.
Right. And our thoughts.
Right. Our emotions. And so he's like, well, I'm going to use that too. You know what I'm saying? I understand my people are emotionally charged also. So I'm going to use that also. And that's what I saw from the White Lives Matter shirt. I wasn't tripping.
And my thing is for, the Black people that were triggered, by that shirt, right? Why hasn't a lot of Black people that we've seen outside of the Black grassroots, I have not seen any Black people calling out the Black Lives Matters organization at all for how they treat Black men, how, they switched the Black Lives Matter, movement, if you will, and made it into something else. They made it about trans people and gay people. It wasn't about Black lives. You know what I'm saying? These are the people who said that they were basically here to disrupt, the nuclear family. You know what I'm saying? So you're not triggered about that. You're more triggered about this shirt. Yeah.
And that's another thing with Ye. Also, he's not clear with differentiating the Black Lives Matter organization from the hashtag and the movement. He's not clear about that. And that may or may not be intentional, but also his response when he got on, I think it was on the Tucker Carlson thing, or it might have been with the French dude, one of those interviews, when they asked him about why he wore the White Lives Matter shirt. Why can't we take his response and believe the Black man sometimes? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's just putting on him that he's saying he's using White Lives Matter the same way that the white supremacists do. You know what I'm saying? As a dog whistle. But he said he just put it on kind of to troll white people. The white liberals who walk around with Black Lives Matter shirt, he's saying, I'm offended by that. When I see white people walking around with Black Lives Matter shirt, and that's supposed to make me feel good, that because you wearing that and reminded me that my life is, I don't need you to tell me that my life matters. Like, I know my life matters. I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And so he's saying, I'm insulted when I see white people doing that. So I want to see how y'all feel when I do the same thing.
Right.
And so I believe that was his purpose for putting it on. I don't believe it's because he's saying, what about black on black crime? White lives matter too. Why y'all saying black lives matter when all lives matter? I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was trolling white. I think he was trolling white liberals.
And honestly, I agree with him with that, because think about this: a white person walking around here with a Black Lives Matter shirt on, yet when you're in these jury pools, you don't act like it.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? When a black child, or a black man or woman gets shot by police, and it's on camera and you see that they're unarmed, you still talking about we need more information. It doesn't matter in those instances. It doesn't matter when it comes to policies, and it sure as hell don't matter when we out here talking about reparations and you're talking about, well, we didn't own slaves, so why should we have to pay?
Right. I feel him on being offended by white people with the Black Lives Matter shirt. When I see a white person with the Black Lives Matter shirt, that's a red flag to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't trust that person, but it's too many Negroes. You see the video that's been circulating now. I think it's an old video. I think I remember seeing it a while back, but last couple of days, the video been circulating with the white people on their knees.
Oh, you're praying to black people?
Yeah, it's a whole group of black people standing there, and a whole bunch of white people was down on their knees saying some prayers and asking for forgiveness, and the black people sitting there crying and all of this shit. It's too many of those Negroes out here who are just so happy to see a white person with a Black Lives Matter shirt on, and they think that they got an ally, and they think that they're being accepted by the dominant society, not understanding that this is going to be the first person, like you said, that get up in one of these juries and let one of these race soldiers off the hook.
Right. I asked mom. It's so funny because I showed that video to my mom. My mom will be 75 years old in December. And I was like, so I said, right now, our push right now is for reparations. Now, say you get these politicians and other white people out here and they bow down and say, I'm sorry, God forgive me, all this stuff. I said, Mom, what's your response to that? And my 74-and-a-half-year-old mama said, that I want my money. I was like, that's what I wanted to hear, because my mom's very church. You know what I'm saying? She at church every Sunday, but she was like, fuck that. I want my money.
Shout out to moms.
Right?
Shout out to moms. Yeah, cut the check, man. Don't nobody want to hear all that. I'm nobody impressed by all that. So I feel yay on that. Other thing that we mentioned, the main clip that we see circulating, the thing that was trending on Twitter the most from the Drink Champs interview, was him saying the thing about George Floyd.
Right.
He said George Floyd died from fentanyl, and Derek Chauvin's knee wasn't even really on his neck. Now, I don't agree with that shit at all. That was stupid. That's stupid as hell. That's some off-code shit. That's some Candace Owens shit right there. That is some Candace Owens shit right there. I am interested to see her documentary about Black Lives Matter, but you're not supposed to just swallow it whole.
Right.
Yay.
If you look at the tape, nigga, like, because we saw what the heck we saw. The man was, foaming in his mouth. And I believe Angela Stanton King made a good point on her post. Like, I think that both could be true. I don't know if he had fentanyl in his system. I don't even remember that part about the toxicology, but he could have been high, right? Does that mean that we didn't see what we saw, though, and that he did not die from suffocation?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I
the
still
coroner
feel like,
said.
right. You know what I'm saying? But two things obviously can be true at the same time. He obviously had a history of being on drugs. I don't know if he was on drugs that day. That's not what killed him, though. Period.
Right. And the other thing about that is, from the beginning, I've always said, and we've always said, listen, this movement is not about George Floyd. Peace be upon him. But they trying to make George Floyd into like a modern civil rights hero or something. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what it was. George Floyd is just another victim of white supremacy.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? He's not some type of freedom fighter or something like that. You know what I mean? They got George Floyd statues and try to name streets after the man and all of this other stuff. That's all extra shit to get people to have these type of reactions when somebody says something like what Kanye said. I don't agree with what he said, but if that's his genuine opinion, that's his genuine opinion. That's neither here.
I don't even think it's his opinion. I just think that he heard it, from Candace. Maybe he looked at her documentary, or something like that, and he got that information from there. He hasn't read a toxicology report. He hasn't looked at the trial. I don't believe he's done that, and if he has, then still shame on you, nonetheless, Kanye, for even saying some shit like that out loud.
Yeah,
bottom line is the man was a victim of white supremacy, and he was
definitely was. He definitely was. And who knows how they edited that on her documentary to make it look, or whatever the case may be, along with the music on top of it. It's tricks that you could do with camera work and all that shit to make shit look a certain way. And so if that's what he saw and that's what he's going by, that's just dumb on his part. But Kanye has the right to be dumb. Okay?
Like the rest of us have been voting Democratic all these damn years for nothing. How about that? We all dumb.
Right. But to me, because even some of the commentary that I see, in the grassroots, it's like Kanye is just a Sambo, point blank, period. He's just a coon, point blank, period. But when I see Kanye, I don't necessarily see that. To me, I don't necessarily.
He's a combination. He's both. I think he's both coon. He's a lot of bit coon and a little bit of conscious.
Look. Let's define what we're saying when we call somebody a coon. When we put somebody on a coon train, it's not about being ignorant, about the issues or whatever the case may be. When you a coon, you actively working with the dominant society against your people, right? And I don't think Kanye is working with them folks at all. Kanye is a free man. You know what I'm saying? The things that Kanye is saying, he doesn't have to do this. Like Kanye could take his billions and go off into the sunset. He is putting his career, his life on the line to say some of the things that he is saying. I don't see a man that's being controlled by anyone, left or the right. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said I don't see he's really aligned with the Candace Owens crowd. He may like some of the things that they say or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, he's making up his own mind. Nobody don't got no puppet strings on him. This is really Kanye, his own thoughts, whether he's right or he's wrong. These are his thoughts.
So I'm still on the fence about, and again, I believe that he does have conservative values. I'll say that. He definitely has conservative values, but I feel like, this is the same dude that married Kim Kardashian and tried to put her on this pedestal and shit. And you knew what that family was about prior to, because you are on the inside. So you consciously, married this woman, gave her partial ownership in Yeezy, had 4 children with her. So again, that black wealth is also transferring over to that white family. So no, there's some cooning in there.
Okay, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. There was a part, and Nori and Effin are the worst interviewers ever.
Yeah, they be too busy drinking, and I think the drinking and smoking and stuff is messing up. They need some cue cards or something.
The concept of the show is cool, but these niggas are the worst interviewers ever, especially for somebody like Kanye. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wish Kanye would do an interview with somebody like Brother Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love Brother Rich style of interviewing. He asks great questions. He allows enough time for the interviewee to build and elaborate, and he does good follow-up questions. Shout out to Brother Rich. I wish Kanye could sit down with somebody like that for a good 2-hour interview. Right. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we would get more substance from it, because there was a certain part where Kanye was about to talk about what you just said, and they kind of cut him off, and the interview went somewhere else, because he started off saying something about, this is the reason why I got with the Kardashian family. And he was about to, it seemed to me like he was about to talk about why his strategy and his thinking behind why he did that. He was talking about joining forces with the Kardashians as an entity. Okay. And as soon as he started saying it, Nori butted in and said something that ain't have nothing to do with nothing, and he never got back to that thought. But I wish they would have let him say what he was going to say about that, because he's kind of said some things like in his music before. You see a black man at the top with a white woman, they're gonna call that kid King Kong, some shit. I don't remember the lyrics, but he's alluded it to it being a strategy in the past also.
Yeah, and like last name first said, because they are branding experts. Not just that. Remember, Kanye also had gone flat broke prior to, dating and marrying her, and all of a sudden his weight went up. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he had invested every dime that he had, and he was completely like
But
in
he
debt.
lost his
He
masters
lost
and all of that
everything.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like 10, $15 million in debt prior to.
Right. Right. And so yeah, I just wish they would have let him say what he had to say about that. But anyway, um, what else, man? There's so much that was said.
When he went in on Diddy and Meek Mill.
Yeah.
And honestly, I felt his passion, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, don't support me when it's convenient, you know what I'm saying? And when it's, just blatant, like you should support this when it came to the Adidas thing, just specifically, with his argument with Adidas, and you're like, okay, we're going to rock with, Yeezy on this because you guys have been exploiting black people since, Run DMC. Okay, we all know that. I can rock with you on that, but I'm not going to rock with you, on this. Or like he said, when y'all was at my kid's birthday party, y'all couldn't tell me the address or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Meek Mill, honestly. And I haven't been in a long time. First of all, I don't think he's a great rapper. I'm just gonna say he maybe ain't great.
Yeah, that's what I say. He high.
Like ain't great for me. And I think the best song that he had to me was his feature on Nicki Minaj and Chris Brown. That was the best for me.
For me, it's I'm a boss.
And I see him, he and Jay-Z, showing all 32 of their teeth, buying that racist, Cowboys owner, a Bentley. And then Robert Kraft, and every video that I see of him, typically, if it's not him, riding on those four-wheelers, it's him skinning and grinning with white people.
Yeah.
Meek
Mill is one of those diet woke niggas.
Yeah.
He's one of those diet woke niggas. He shouldn't even got in the conversation. What did he say anyway?
Everybody has something to say about the shirt. Everything was pretty much about the shirt, how it's disrespectful to black people, blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel disrespected, so don't speak for me, because I didn't feel disrespected about him wearing the shirt.
Yeah, those are the low-brow Negroes, the low-hanging fruit Negroes. That's why I opened up with the George Carlin thing, because he was talking about how the society is trained to not have critical thinking, to not be able to think critically. You know what I'm saying? They tell you what to think and how to think. And that's just the majority of the people, especially in the entertainment industry. You know what I'm saying? That's why there's not many Kanye's.
Right.
There's not many Ye's. Like I said, I think Ye, whether he's right or wrong, I think he thinks his own thoughts. He's speaking for himself. You know what I'm saying? He's not being controlled by the left, the right, none of these entities. And that's the thing that I admire about him. It's not that I agree with everything that he said, but I respect the fact that he's speaking freely. Even when he says some bullshit.
You know what I respect? Out of whatever 45 minutes, 43 minutes, or whatever it is that, we listen to, I respect more now than before. And I don't agree with everything. You know what I'm saying? I still believe he got some coon in him. I'm saying it. I respect that he didn't apologize.
Yes.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yes. And he said, ain't no backing down at this point. He said that. He said, ain't no backing down. He said, it's up. It's up. And the thing about it is, this is not his first showdown with that community. Back in 2013, he pissed them off. I forgot what he said. He had said something back then about them specifically. Excuse me. And they was trying to cancel him then. And that's when he got with Farrakhan. And Minister Farrakhan told him not to apologize. He said, you ain't say nothing.
He said that this time. He said that on there. Farrakhan told me not to apologize. And it makes me wonder, since Farrakhan released the video last week, has he spoken with the minister again?
That Farrakhan video is from 2013.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's from 2013. From the first time that they was coming for his head.
I thought that was recent.
No, that was from 2013.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know if he spoke to him I think he did say that he spoke to him on this incident because he was trying to squash with the shit between him and Diddy. So he did mention that. He said, just like Farrakhan, he told me chill with the Diddy stuff. You know what I mean? Y'all brothers or whatever the case may be. He said something to that effect on the Drink Champs interview. So he has spoken to Farrakhan recently, but it was somebody else too that he mentions. Damn, who was it? It was another person that he mentioned that, he was like, I feel confident in my stance. You know what I mean? I'm not backing down off of this.
He said Farrakhan, and who else was it? Was it his father? No, it wasn't his father. It was Farrakhan. You're right. He did have two people.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't remember. It definitely wasn't his father, but it was Farrakhan and someone else. I just cannot think of who it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I want to get your take on when people say, because a lot of people say this, Ye has mental issues. Ye is mentally unstable.
I don't agree with that at all. I think that this industry is frustrating. First of all, I'm a Gemini. Ye and I actually share the same birthday, y'all.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, it's just, first of all, with a Gemini, you don't know what energy you're going to get anyway, day to day. You know what I'm saying? So the moods can change. And then when you have a person that's, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar, brand, you know what I'm saying, and you're responsible for so many people along with yourself, I think that can be a lot, a stress period. Life is stressful, you know what I'm saying? And he's being a boss. So no, I don't think that he is mental at all. I think that, shit just triggers you, as a Gemini, just bullshit, daily bullshit. And think about it. When you're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar, business empire, we can't even fathom that shit. And we going crazy with the little shit we dealing with. So imagine that, plus white supremacy, plus all the media apparatuses that's attacking you, left and right. You don't know who you can trust. All these things, that'll kind of make you snap.
Yeah, man, because a lot of people, they try to characterize some of his actions as like we're looking at some type of mental breakdown. And I don't think that's what it is either. I agree with you. I don't think so. Man, we from the hood. I grew up around dudes that have real mental issues. Some of my partners have real undiagnosed mental issues. We know what it looks like for real. I've been behind the wall with dudes who got real mental, who are really manic, who are really schizo, bipolar, all of these things. Kanye is not Orlando Brown.
No.
Orlando Brown has real mental issues. You know what I'm saying? And he's talented. You know what I'm saying? And he slips in and out of coherency and says some fly shit every now and then also. So they have those things in common, but they're not the same mental condition at all. No. Ye, this is Ye's personality. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, if you go back to the early interviews when he was on Rap City and 106 in Park, you can see it in him then. He was just very anxious and kind of like, a lot of thoughts come into his head at one time and he just jumbles it all together. You know what I'm saying? He's been like that for a long time. From the beginning of me watching Ye. I'm a fan of him as an artist and as a music. I paid attention to his career. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see it as this being some type of mental breakdown. I think when they did have him on medication, that was an attack. You know what I'm saying?
Like he talked about that, about the medication, and now he refuses to take any medication. He don't need that shit. They were trying to reprogram him because this is what they were afraid of.
Right.
This is what I think. They were trying to reprogram him because we do not need this fool telling people how to be independent, how to be free thinkers, how to, own and control your creativity and all these things. We don't need this type of Negro.
It's the wacko jacko effect.
That too. And he talked about it. He said that they want everybody, everything. He said, I'm paraphrasing, how they always say he's crazy. Every time he looks, on social media, Ye crazy, Ye went on a manic thing, Ye this, Ye that. Like, he realizes what they're trying to do too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, a person could be crazy, you know what I'm saying, for lack of better words, and still be a genius.
Yeah.
That's pretty common. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't see the crazy part.
Nah.
I don't see the
You
crazy
think he
part.
played crazy for a little bit?
I
You
think he plays
kinda
on that.
crazy?
I think he plays on that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of this is an act.
Mhm.
Even during the Tucker Carlson interview, there was a point, I forgot what it was, but Tucker had asked him something, and he said something like the way he said it, and he looked at the camera, and he was like, "Nah, that didn't work." He was like, "Nah, I was just trying to see if that was gonna work. That didn't work." You can tell, like he does certain things. Like, okay, I know this is an interview. This is show business. So part of what I'm doing is show.
Let's go.
The other part of what I'm doing is business. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't neglect the show part. He's always performing. All of this is a performance to a certain degree.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's not haphazardly doing these things and he's out of control. He's being strategic about what he's doing. This is a performance. That brings me to this part. Did any of y'all see the 30-minute documentary that he has on his YouTube channel?
I looked at it because you sent it to me. Yes,
Yeah.
I looked at it. Yeah.
Called last week or this week or something.
No, I thought the one you sent me was War.
Yeah, War.
Okay.
I think the title of it was last week or
War.
something.
Okay.
But yeah, War. That one right there. Have any of y'all seen that in the chat? Type of number 7 if you saw that 30-minute behind the scenes documentary thing that he put up there. In the beginning, it's kind of like a video game or like some Web3 metaverse type stuff that plays in the beginning, and then it goes into some behind the scene footage of him and these different meetings with Adidas and some of his designers and stuff like that. Did anybody see that? Type of number 7 in the chat. I want to know if anybody saw this.
Am I the only one? Were you?
There's a little bit of delay in the chat. Somebody might type of number 7 in there. But there was a point in there where he was talking to somebody on the phone, one of his people he was talking to on the phone, and he said, "Yo, I think we've gotten to the point." That's a good point too. Crazy is relative. Not crazy is clinically diagnosable. Oh, my bad. Wrong one. I think crazy is a real thing. But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that War thing that we talking about, y'all should watch it. I think it will enhance your perspective. You know what I mean? I don't know what your current perspective is, but whatever it is, it may change it, sway it, enhance it a little bit. I thought it was really good. But there was a point in there where he was talking to one of his people on the phone, and he said, "Look, I think we've gotten to a point where the products can sell themselves now." He said, "I don't have to do these antics to stay in the news." He said, "I could just fall back."
Yep. I don't need to be in the front anymore.
Right. And this is behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It's being filmed, and I'm sure he's aware that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They documented it or whatever the case may be. But this was him, not on TV, not in an interview or anything like that, really talking to his people, strategizing on how they're going to move forward. And he's like, "Yo, I don't think I need to be in the headlines anymore. I don't think I have to do all of this to stay in the news. I could finally shut up."
Right. He said it.
You know what I'm saying? Which further, for me, confirms what I thought I was seeing. This is a performance. It's strategy. Because look, when you're building a brand, pretty independently, independently, he partners with these big brands, partners with Gap, partners with Adidas, whatever, because he needs their factories, or that. So he thought he needed their factories, or whatever the case may be. But his brand is leverage for them, not vice versa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeezy makes Adidas look fly, not vice versa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeezy make Gap look relevant, not vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And so he understands that. So it's not about partnering with them, because he could partner with the big fashion houses. You know what I'm saying? Louis, Balenciaga, whatever the case may be. But he's partnering, like he was trying to get his stuff in Old Navy at one point. He was trying to put his shoes in Payless at one point. You know what I'm saying? So he's just saying, I want to be able to produce my stuff. Anyway, I ain't even going to get into that part of it. What I'm saying is, the antics is his way of creating this mythological persona that's going to give prestige to his brand. You know what I'm saying? Because look, when you follow all the rules and you do everything right, rarely do you make history.
Right.
Right? In order to really go down in history, you got to shake shit up. And so in order to keep Yeezy in the forefront of people's minds, he felt that these antics that he's been doing were the necessary evil. You know what I mean?
Because, and also niggas wasn't wearing Adidas like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was moving to always, focus on Nike, the Nike brand of it all. How am I going to bring people over here to the Adidas brand? Because we wasn't really rocking with Adidas like that. Let's be for real.
Right. And then, they turn around and start biting off of his designs.
Right.
They start making their own version of the Yeezy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right. Now, I seen they was talking about it on EYL, from a business perspective. And I could understand what they were saying about some of the mistakes he was making as far as contracts and all of that. Because he didn't have none of that specified in the partnership that, listen, you guys can't copy my designs.
Okay.
And so that's a big mistake, not to have that in there. So they were questioning, like, who's his legal team? Like, that's something basic and simple that you could have put inside the contract. Like, they were questioning whether there's anybody that Ye would even listen to. Are you so narcissistic and egotistical that you won't even listen to lawyers or people like that? And I don't think that's the case. I think it's just like he's in like a David and Goliath type of situation. You know what I'm saying? He's going up against a monster, and he feels like he's by himself because all of his entertainer friends are afraid to do anything that he's doing.
Yep.
Or to say anything that he's saying. They're afraid. So he like, man, I gotta go at this shit alone.
Now, wait a minute though. That Gemini called their asses out. Come get me. He was like, come get me. Come up in here right now.
Niggas, all y'all hard niggas, all that shit y'all be saying in y'all raps, do it to me.
Right.
I respect that. I respect that because y'all niggas be going into the studio recording all of this shit about what you'll do to a nigga and this, that, and the third. Ye never portrayed himself as no gangster.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? No. He was the nigga with the tight clothes on and the pink polos that y'all thought was weird and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten him this far. So when you got somebody like that, it's kind of hard to tell him anything, right? When you've been going against the grain the whole time and winning.
So can Hov not tell him nothing? You don't think Hov can have a talk with him? He won't listen. Remember, he said that he signed with Hov, over Dame Dash because of, how Hov kind of carried himself. Because, Dame Dash was like the one that barked. He was the muscle. You know what I'm saying? Versus, Jay-Z was kind of the quiet one, I guess spoke a little bit different. So what do you think has he learned from that? He's learned the business stuff that he needed from Jay-Z, but he understands now I need that Dame Dash muscle, but I'm going to be that muscle for myself.
He's always described himself as the perfect combination of Dame Dash and Hov.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think he looks up to Hov to a certain degree, but he also has a different mission. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so he like, I can't move how Hov move and accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to have some of this Dame Dash in me to do what I'm trying to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I see that. But damn.
It's just a lot.
It is. It
was a lot.
It would be easier if we could play some of it, but I ain't gonna play none of the video, man. Y'all gotta go check it out.
So let me think of something else that he said that just not about what he said on Drink Champs, but going back to that video War that you sent to me, and everybody, if you can find that on his YouTube channel, it's about 30 minutes long. It's short, but it's really good to see. But I like how he interacts with his children.
That was the best part.
Yeah, he's a totally different human being when he's with his children. I see the love that his children have for him. I honestly believe that they're able to be children in a different way. They don't have to be on. They're just able to be kids. And I just saw that interaction with his kids, and I'm like, this is what I love to see too. And I would love to see more of that, him interacting with his children.
I got chills right now.
Yeah.
From that. That was the best part of the whole thing. That's the reason why I really want people to watch it, because that was at the end,
Yeah.
And during that part of it, there's no sound.
Mm-mm.
He just gave you just all visual, no sound, right? And I was looking at it. I looked at it a couple of times, and his body language and his interaction with the kids versus Kim's is night and day.
Night and day. Yep.
When you see they at the basketball game, they in the gym. His daughter's at the basketball game, basketball practice and all that. And like you said, she's just a kid, just like any other kid, just like my kid would be at the gym.
Right.
She's in her element. You know what I mean? You could tell she really loves basketball. She ain't that good, but she's passionate about it. You know what I'm saying? And I like that he showed that too. She was missing shots, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when you see Kim come into the picture, it's almost like business.
It is. It's set up. I feel like when we see her with the kids, you know, the paparazzi has already been called to say where to come. They're all, you know, dressed up, like getting the right angles and stuff like that. Like, it's just so pre-calculated.
It was,
you know,
business. When you see Kanye with his kids, you really see a black man
with his
daughter, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being a dad, smiling from ear to ear, seeing his daughter in that element, so happy. That was just the flyest part of that whole thing right there. And to me, it humanized him.
It did. And I love how he says, my daughter is not going to be doing no damn porno. You know, my daughter would not be doing X, Y, and Z. Even when North was first born and they were still filming the Kardashian show, and I guess they wanted to have, you know, North on there. And his whole thing was not unless E is cutting a check. Separate. You know what I'm saying? Because my child is not going to be part of this show unless she's going to get her trust fund money. Like, I like that. Like, no, otherwise don't show it. For the longest time, they didn't either. So he must have, you know, made some type of deal with them to make sure that his daughter was taken care of based on her likeness. But he wants his child and children, not just children, to be children. He does not want them on TikTok seeing inappropriate things and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys remember him kind of going back and forth with Kim, you know, because it was inappropriate things that he saw on TikTok that he didn't want his daughter seeing. And then he's like, and Kim didn't even, they have like a child-proof separate TikTok for like 13 and under or something like that. Why wasn't his child on that one? Why is she on the one with everybody? He was like coming. I think any man should be like that with their children.
Yes. I was like that. I was like that. When my kids were first coming of age, getting their phones and stuff like that, like social media was still kind of new. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, me and their mom wasn't really on the same thought pattern as far as that. Like she gave them the phone. It was just like, free reign. And I'm like, nah, y'all can't be on this. Y'all can't be on that. Why you got this on your phone? Delete this off your phone. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, she's like, what's the big deal? Because she not on there like that. I'm on here. You know what I'm saying? I know, what you're being exposed to. And we just don't understand what the ramifications are, even still, from, social media. You know what I mean? The way that they design the layouts, the notifications, the dings, all of this stuff has a certain neurological effect on the brain. You know what I'm saying? Aside from the actual content that you're viewing, just the way that it's set up to make you addicted to it. You know what I'm saying? We're addicted to it as adults. You know what I'm saying? Imagine what it's doing to a young child like that. You know what I'm saying? People growing up with all type of self-esteem issues, mental issues. You know what I'm saying? That kid, we saw a video a couple of weeks ago with that kid. I think he had mental issues too, but he tore his whole mom's house up over the phone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that should get deep, man.
Yeah, and again, I like to see him in this element because, again, especially when it comes to black men, black fathers specifically, all we hear about is the deadbeat shit. Black men ain't shit, right? But then when you have a black man fighting for his children, everybody want to be
trying to demonize that too.
Yeah, he want attention. No, he's fighting for his children to be children.
Right. I can relate to that, man. And man, what you think about the part when he was talking to the dude from Adidas?
Oh yeah,
And
you know,
he
and
showed him the porn and shit.
yeah, I was. I mean, it was weird, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, the business part of it, when he was just, you know, talking about the business stuff and kind of how tongue tied they weren't in disagreement
Mm-hmm.
with him. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's like, so why are y'all in agreement with me back here, but not when you guys are at the table?
Because he was speaking to them straight up. He
Straight
wasn't
up.
sugarcoating anything. He said,
Mhm.
what y'all did was wrong. He said, y'all did me wrong. Y'all just copying off of my designs. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? This is bad for business.
Right.
I'm the boss here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas is not in charge. Y'all don't understand culture. I do. And
Right.
they sitting there like, yeah,
Just sitting there. 3 white dudes.
You're kind of right. You know what I mean? And then when his, I guess that's his lawyer or whoever that person is that's with Ye, kind of tries to speak for Ye, tries to articulate what Ye is saying. And I think he does a pretty good job, but Ye just not having it. He like, nigga, I'm speak for myself.
Right. Sit your ass down. They understand. They understand.
Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, man. Ye to me is a very fascinating person.
With a bit of a coon spirit. I'm still gonna say it until I'm proven otherwise.
I listen. I'm not here to defend him on that part.
I
can't defend some of the shit. I can't defend some of the shit. You know what I mean? But North, that's the daughter that was playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
That's a black girl, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't really see his kids like that. That was my first time really getting a good look at her like that, watching that thing. And I was like, yo, that's a black girl.
Yeah, all his kids, honestly, they all look black and they have dark skin pretty much. They're not like super light, they're caramel complected or dark skin. They just have that curly hair, I guess, if you will, but they very much look black.
Word up.
Yeah, all of them. Ain't no doubt, you know, who they are. And what's funny is, well, she has braces now, but North and Psalm, his first two, I think, whatever what's that second one name?
I think Saint.
They both had the gap that his mother had.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yes, both of them. Now North has braces now, so I guess they're gonna close hers, but he still has his. But they both had it. Dead on his mom.
Oh yeah, I remember a point that I was trying to make a little bit earlier when I was saying about, you know, him doing these antics to be in the spotlight and to be in the headlines and all of that shit, to build the brand up to where he gets to a point eventually that he doesn't have to do that anymore. When you look at Yeezy's brand, right? A lot of people say this shit is ugly, especially when it first comes out. You know what I'm saying? When he first started putting stuff out, he was like, what the hell is this? It looked like homeless people clothes. And,
An hour.
Right. But he changes the whole look of what fashion is supposed to be. You know, he changed the whole silhouette of everything, like them big ass boots, you know what I'm saying? The puffy ass coats and just weird looking stuff.
Wait though, in New York though, puffy coats been a thing. Like I don't understand why.
Not like that though. Not like that though. It's different. It's different. You see what happened when Fat Joe tried to put it on. You remember that? That shit look funny as hell. That shit look funny as hell. But what I'm saying is, with his designs and everything, he's doing something that's so new and so futuristic. Just the items themselves, I don't think would sell if it wasn't for the antics and Kanye being Kanye. You know what I'm saying?
Too, when you buy anything like his Yeezy slides, and I have some, I ain't even put them on my feet yet. His Yeezy slides literally retail for $70, y'all. $70. The next day, when you go on StockX, go any of these places, they're selling for over $200.
Easy.
Just like that. 24 hours later, they're already $200 for something that retails for $70. So again, Adidas knows what's at stake.
What's going on, Virgo Venom? Yeah, but my point is, even though, you know, whether we disagree with some of the stuff that he does, I think his brand would not be what it is if not for all of that. I think that was kind of necessary. You know what I'm saying? For him to break the mold. You know what I mean, so to speak. Because when people buy products, this is what all of us, when we buy things that we like, we're buying into an idea, really. You know what I'm saying? They got sneakers that look just like Nikes that ain't Nikes, but you gonna buy the Nikes.
Yep.
Why? It's something associated with that Nike check and that swoosh in your mind that's gonna make you buy that one instead. You know what I'm saying? That's how we shop. That's how we are. It's a psychological thing. And so he had to engrave his product, his brand, into the minds of the consumers in order for it to have the stock that it has. And he's done it. He's been successful.
I mean, he's worth $1 billion because of it. I mean,
the music by itself was good.
Right.
The music, when he was doing just the music alone, he didn't have to do all the extra stuff. The music is great by itself. We can already relate. College Dropout, you don't got to try to sell that to me twice. But when you first see them slides, it's like, what the fuck is this?
Right, them jailhouse slides.
You know what I'm saying? like what? How much for these shits? But then when you associate it with the brand in your mind, it's a no-brainer.
What did you think about, when he said that Drake is the greatest rapper of all time?
I think he worded it the way he worded it specifically. He said greatest rapper of all time. That doesn't mean greatest MC of all time. You know what I'm saying? That's a different thing. And so that's a good argument. I mean, Drake, you know, he's up there.
I'm just saying because of the beef, not him as an artist. Because before, remember, a year or 2 years ago, it was kind of like this ongoing, I guess, sort of beef. And I think, what's the brother, Prince? What's his name?
Jay Prince
kind of mediated, something for him, with that. And they squashed the beef. They did that Netflix, show situation. But then when he outed Kris Jenner for getting smashed by Drake, I was like, yay. But he said, don't tell me nothing. I don't keep secrets. So if y'all don't want nobody to know nothing, don't tell me.
All right, now hold on now. That's something different right there. But wait, let me stick with the Drake shit for a minute. But I want to talk about that too. With the Drake shit, even when they was beefing, he would never front on who Drake was. That's the one thing that I admire about him also. He'll tell you, I was jealous of Virgil. When Virgil got to deal with Louis Vuitton, I was jealous of him. I thought some of the shit that he was doing with them was whack. It could have been better. You know what I'm saying? I was hating. That was my man, but I was hating on him. How many people will admit that?
Nobody.
How many people will admit that?
Nobody.
Like that's a different level right there. And that's the same thing with the Drake thing. Even when they was beefing, he would say like, "Damn, this motherfucker Drake, he's just good, man." Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to compete with this nigga. It's stressing me out. You know what I'm saying? He give credit where credit is due. So that's an admirable trait also. But when he said, I ain't keeping no secrets, he was talking about that certain community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way that they go about doing things. Yeah. And he said, people like Jay-Z, they get privy to some of these things and they're told to keep these secrets and they keep it to themselves. He said, don't tell me because I'm Moses. I'm trying to get all my people free. And now there's another thing about Ye too. And this is the part where I got to agree with y'all when y'all put him on the cool train. Because when Ye is talking about my people, he's not talking about the black masses. And I've said this before. He's really only talking about black celebrities.
You think so? Not yeah.
He's really only talking about black entertainers. He's talking about us owning our masters and us getting fair deals and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But he does mention reparations. He shout out Dr. Claude Anderson, Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? He said Ice Cube and Dr. Anderson need to be in the same room. We deserve our 40 acres and a mule. He said that. But overall, I think a lot of times when he's talking about us and what we deserve, he's talking about black celebrities and entertainers.
I agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
But anyway, what y'all think, man? Y'all fucking with Ye or nay?
Yay or nay, everybody.
Put yay or nay in the chat.
Put yay or nay in the chat. I'm gonna say yay. I'm still, I'm a rock
this week.
You
This
know,
week is yay. This week is yay for me.
way, you know what I'm saying, until he up again. Because I haven't taken him off the coon train now. You know, I haven't taken him off the coon train, but you know, when he says the right things, he says the right thing. Let's be clear. I do not mess with Candace Owens. She is a certified bed mammy to me, right? But I also agree with a lot of things that she does say when she talks about Black family and how important it is for the husband, the man, to be a part of and in the home with his children, to raise the children, and how, you know, find any society that is still standing and stable without their man, right? Hence our community, you know what I'm saying, ours majority locked up. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that Black men are not in their children's lives, because we know that to not be true. As a matter of fact, most of all groups, Black men are more in their children's lives.
Mhm.
But, you know
And
what I'm saying,
the
we're
most
still we're still our men are also still the most, you know, incarcerated at the same time. And a lot of our families have been broken. Hence, look at our community. It's broken. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to things like that she says, I can be like, okay, I can listen to that and I can rock with that, but I don't rock with her at all.
right. And those things that she says that we do agree with, that's just our conservative values as Black
Right.
people. You know what
But
I'm saying?
some people won't
We
listen
agree
to
with a lot of
that.
white supremacists.
But some people won't look at that. They won't even hear that because, well, she rocks with Trump. Or,
Right?
you know, she, you know, whatever. She says that racism doesn't exist and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it doesn't for her. I don't know. Well, it did at one point because she sued, you
Right.
know. But, you know what I'm saying? I don't care about that. Again, chew the meat, spit out the fat. And we have to learn to do that. That doesn't mean we rock with her. But when she says something that is a truth, you know what I'm saying? Hear the message. Forget the messenger. Hear the message.
See, the thing about Candace Owens, the difference between Candace Owens and Kanye is, like I said, even though I believe she's hustling, she's
Definitely.
actively working with known white supremacist entities to undermine
Black society.
Black progress.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the very definition of a coon. She's a dangerous coon because she is kind of sharp. She do got a sharp mouthpiece. You know what I'm saying? And so she's a dangerous coon. She's not no mush mouth buffoon who's just like a caricature that you can kind of dismiss. She's not Diamond and Silk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So she's a little more dangerous. But yeah, some of the things that she says are on point.
A lot of the things, because even when it comes to, you know, Black men, women, and children getting killed, she always tries to justify it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you justify what we just saw?
Always.
Always. You know, so that's
Always.
very dangerous. That's so to me, yeah, I can, you know, take what she says is right when it comes to the Black family, but I don't give her any excuses, any passes, and I don't put her on my, you know, social media. Even when she says something good, I'm like, okay, I rock with that. I may send it to someone I know. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I don't even want to get this bitch views at this point. Like, you know, I just don't rock with her because, like my brother said, she's extremely dangerous. She's extremely dangerous, extremely toxic.
I do want to see her documentary on BLM though.
Oh yeah, because you know, remember she was pulling up on him, you know, and I'm mad at it because, you know, and again, that's what I have to respect, you know, and again, we know she's gonna have some trash in there like the George Floyd thing, but you know, pulling up on them the way that she pulled up on them and basically calling them on the carpet for their bullshit, I kind of have to respect
I'm here for that.
Why was it her? Why was it her? Why didn't someone else do it?
Yeah, why wasn't it Joy-Ann Reid?
Right.
You know, why wasn't it Amanda Seals?
Right. I'm just saying, Sean King.
You know what I mean?
I'm just
What's
saying.
going on, Mama Love? Oh, she said Sean King. I just got the Sean King shit.
You know what? And speaking of him,
I ain't seen him in a minute.
Topic. You know how you can go into a person's Twitter account to see, you know, if they've supported certain things. So I went on his Twitter account and put in reparations. He's never spoken up on reparations. But as soon as somebody Black die, get shot or something, his ass be the first one on there so he can grift. First, nothing. It's literally blank. And it's what was so funny because he posted something And our sister Vicky Dillard replied to it or quoted it, and she put something on there. And I said, yeah, I said, it's funny because he doesn't ever mention reparations either. And I went on there and I took a screenshot, like, see, he's never mentioned reparations. I have never seen him talk about his support of reparations. Now, this is the same fool, he'll call Democrats out on the obvious, what I'm saying, yet tell black people to still vote for him at the same time. Like, you can't have it both ways to me.
Right. That shit don't be making no sense.
None. And again, off topic again, since we're talking about reparations, and we also have our brother Jesse in here, Jesse Paris. And there was a space that I was in yesterday. And so it was a sister on there. I forget her name, so forgive me. But they were talking about strategies in voting. And obviously, Republicans are not offering reparations. We know that, right? And again, we also know that these are not the people that we've been voting for the last 60 years. So we're knocking on the door of the people we've been giving our vote to and been the most loyal to at over 90%. We know this, right? But as a strategy, and I would like, people in the chat to tell me what their thoughts are on this. When voting, locally, etc., voting specifically for candidates that are against open borders as a strategy?
No, I don't think so.
As one strategy, not all the strategy, but as a strategy.
Just to kind of sock it to the Democrats, just go and vote for the Republicans, just to sock it to the Democrats.
No, because it could be a Democrat that may be against open borders. You have some, I don't know who, right?
Yeah,
it needs to be a little bit more controlled, etc. Right? So just say there's a Democrat on there who says, I'm not against immigration, I'm against illegal immigration, right? So I'm for closing the border so that this can be a uniform process and the right people cross over, right? So it could be a Democrat that is for closed borders. So it's not about the party. We're talking about specific candidates that are saying, I'm against open borders. I don't care what party it can be a damn independent. It can be a libertarian. You know what I'm saying? It can be someone on the Green Party. So it doesn't have to necessarily be, as a strategy, voting for Republican. That's not the point. The point is voting specifically for people who said that they're against open borders.
Somebody who's against open borders and illegal immigration that we're seeing.
Right.
I would still have to look at the rest of their
right,
platform.
Absolutely. But so the point is, though, with the Democratic Party specifically, right? They are absolutely opening it up. You know what I'm saying? These people are here at the border right now in droves, and they're walking right into housing, ID, Social Security cards, and then with this B of A thing, right, where you no longer have to have credit in order to buy a home. Guess who's going to get that, right?
Yeah.
So this is the mindset for me, at this point in the game is I need to do something to protect foundational Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? I need to not vote for someone who's like 1,000% for open borders because it harms us economically.
I think there may be a Democrat here or there that may be against that, but overall the Democratic agenda is open borders is a part of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The abortion thing is a part of that shit. Prioritizing all these things that are not issues for us in Black society. And so I think the strategy of holding the vote is the most effective strategy because that's what's going to ultimately make that party crumble. You know what I'm saying? Overall, it's going to make that party crumble. And already the Republicans, most of the Republicans are against open borders.
Right. And
so 9 times out of 10, if there's a Democrat, somebody's being pushed by the Democrats. Now I'm not talking about somebody who like a Marcel Dixon, who's a Democrat but running on a Black issue. But I'm talking about establishment Democrat who's running against the establishment Republican. They're already going to be opposed on that issue. And so just not voting for the Democrat already gives the Republican an advantage anyway. And so we receive that benefit, not vicariously, but whatever that word is.
Well,
Subsequently.
so a place like here though, California, where I am, you know what I'm saying? If you look at Karen Bass' Twitter account right now, she's out right now. Every photo that she has taken thus far has been with a large group of Latinos, and not one black person. She has spoken to, campaigned for, with, etc. Droves and droves and droves of Latinos. Right? Obviously, everybody here, I'm sure at this point, has heard that video of those city councilmen out here in Los Angeles with their racist remarks and talking about redistricting funds specifically out of and again away from black people to put it back in and give it to the Latinos, right? So I think it may be a case by case basis because what's on your ballot may not be on my ballot, you know what I'm saying? But a place like California, you know, that may just be a strategy, especially when it comes to locally, you know, because we have our mayors, we have, you know,
is Karen Bass up for re-election?
Say that again.
Is Karen Bass up for re-election?
She's running right now for mayor of Los Angeles.
Running for mayor. And who's her opponent?
Caruso, the guy that the lady on that video was talking about saying he's for the blacks.
Oh, okay. That's what she was talking about?
That's who she yes.
All right.
So that's who she's running for.
Okay, so what I'm saying is if we look at his agenda, Caruso's agenda, he's probably for closing the borders, right? I'm just saying, right. without having looked.
And let me just say this too before you finish that thought. So I can't vote for her because I'm not in that part of LA. So they're not on my ballot at all.
She's running for mayor of what?
Los Angeles.
City.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Los Angeles.
She's running for mayor of the city of Los Angeles. I'm not in the city of Los Angeles, so they will not be on my ballot at all. But majority of my family is in the city of Los Angeles, and unfortunately,
I got you. That used to be confusing to me.
They blue no matter who.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if Caruso is against open borders, and Karen Bass is pushing open borders, obviously she's running around with all these damn Latinos all the time. She was
actually married to one as well before, but they're no longer married. But that's who she also procreated with.
Right. So she has a vested interest in prioritizing immigrants, and so her Republican opponent is probably.
I don't think he's Republican though. I think they're both Democrats. That's the crazy part. Now, Caruso though isn't black.
What's his name?
Most of the black people here are. I'll tell you right now. Most of the black people here are voting for her just because she's black. At least the people in my family. Well, we gotta support her because she black. That's all.
It's not Rick Caruso, is it?
That's him.
Rick Caruso.
And I believe he's married to a black woman. She's not FBA, but he's also married to a black woman.
I want to see what his joint is about. Okay, official campaign website. Let's pull it up.
Let's go.
Shall we? We'll do this in real time. So the question is, if he is opposing open borders, should we vote for him as a strategy?
Right.
That's the question, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's see who this guy is. Meet Rick Caruso. Issues. Let's go to issues. End street homelessness, public safety, corruption and ethics. Make LA work for women, sustainability, climate change, housing and affordability. Make LA work for small businesses. Make LA work for economic development. Let me see. I'm going to go to economic development. It's mainly housed within the mayor's office. Thus, initiatives are highly politicized and priorities change depending on who is in office, which provides no stability for long-term goals and partnerships. Let me see.
Trying to find something on his immigration policy. I don't see anything yet.
Right. He doesn't have anything highlighted about it.
Mm-mm.
Government Corporation MCD manages the city's real estate portfolio. So let me do it this way. Hold on.
I'm about to look. Let me see if he's on Twitter and see if he spoke about him. Let me put immigration in his
Yeah, do that. Do this in real time for y'all.
right.
Do this in real time for y'all. Hit the like button, family, while we pulling this up.
So he hasn't spoke about immigration. Nothing comes up on his Twitter about immigration.
Mm.
Let me see if he says anything about borders, open borders.
Declares he's not. Hold on. Mayoral candidate Rick Caruso declares he's
Nothing.
not white.
Hmm?
Hold on. Got an ad pop up here. Declares he's not white because he's Italian.
Yep. I
The
knew that.
billionaire added his Italian American heritage makes him Latin, sparking a social media uproar. He's technically right, but not socially right. In America, you still white. Latin doesn't mean non-white. Oh, they had a debate too.
Yeah, they did.
Insisted he's not white, but really Italian and thus Latin. An awkward debate moment. I think okay. So why would he say that, right? Why would he use that argument? That to me tells me that they were probably attacking one of his stances against Latins, right?
Could be.
He must have had a stance that they were trying to use to get Latins to not support him.
Right.
He was saying, well, I'm Latin.
Right.
You know, I'm Latin. So what you talking about? How could I be against Latins when I'm Latin? That's what it seems like. Why else would you use that argument, right? Okay, he's a billionaire. He's a real estate developer. He's a Democrat.
I told both of them.
No, my bad. That's her. She's a Democrat seeking to become the first black female.
I don't see anything that says he's a Democrat or a damn Republican, to be honest. He's allegedly for police reform.
Let me see. Boom. Rick Caruso was a Republican 3 years ago.
So he switched.
You know they be doing that.
Yeah.
They be doing that, especially these businessmen. These businessmen that get into politics. It's whatever's politically expedient, whatever they think is going to get them elected.
Well, I want to see. I see here. So he isn't. So Rick believes that we don't need to defund the police. Instead, we must invest in making them better at preventing crime. Rick's plan calls to increase community-based policing, hiring officers that look like you basically and understand their communities. He has a proven track record as president of the police commission. Rick fought corruption, instituted police accountability, and oversaw a 30% reduction in crime. As your mayor, he will, and it goes on and on about that.
Gotcha.
So he's definitely not about defunding the police, but he's, I guess, went against them.
Gotcha. So he was a Republican. He switched to a Democrat, and I'm not seeing anything about his ideology as far as immigration.
Me neither.
Immigration. So we can't use this example. Can't really use this example.
Okay, here we go. Housing and affordability. Los Angeles is becoming increasingly unaffordable as raising housing costs burden hardworking families. The statistics clearly show that the burden of housing affordability falls heavily on Black and Latino communities.
Say that one more time, the last part.
He says that the statistics clearly show that the burden of housing affordability falls more heavily on Black and Latino communities.
Okay, so Black and Brown Coalition.
So he says that Rick will centralize the zoning and development of affordable housing, adaptive reuse projects, and innovative solutions like small lots, establish a city-led housing subsidy aimed at elevating housing costs for our most vulnerable rent burden households, leverage the city credit rating to secure low interest loan, and then partner with HACLA and the private sector to purchase, redevelop, and rehabilitate existing multi-family projects. So also out here, like the Jordan Downs, I know y'all have heard about those, the Imperial Courts, like well, you've seen them in videos such as what was that? Don't you know we got to put ourselves together? What was that? Yeah, that. So they've been closing those down, but they're doing it section by section because those projects are huge. They cover, a part of where they are. So they've been slowly closing those places down and moving those people out. And they've been moving to an area which we call the high desert. So that would be Victorville, San Bernardino, Palmdale, Lancaster, and those areas. They Palmdale and Lancaster kind of was fighting it. They like, we don't want these niggas, you know what I'm saying? And bringing that trash up here. So they've really, really been focusing them up in the high desert, the San Bernardino area, but they've been closing them completely down. They have been rebuilding some new projects near actually the Imperial Courts, kind of literally behind them a little bit. Like you can literally walk across the street and be at the projects, but they're slowly closing them down. They're moving families out. They plan to, we hear, is completely knock them down. It's not going to be just affordable housing. I believe that they're just going to build homes there.
Mm-hmm. And so just from what he's saying, obviously, he's not Black specific.
No.
But it doesn't really mean that he supports open borders either. It doesn't mean he supports illegal immigration necessarily.
But so Karen Bass though is on outright saying it though.
Yeah.
Her whole platform, has been in support of them and making them come over here comfortable after breaking the law getting here.
Right. So she's an establishment Democrat and he's just a businessman trying to get in a certain position. And he's going to do it by any means necessary. So whether he got to be a Republican, Democrat, don't matter.
So my thing is, by him being an ex, Republican, I would think that he still has some Republican values.
Right. But I'm still trying to figure out the question. The whole point is to try to figure out.
What I'm saying is, again, that's just these two. That's not, so these are the two major ones that are going to be on the ballot, right. Because they're the two, established candidates. There's going to be other candidates on there. It does not mean that we have to focus on these two, whomever, and again, as a block, Los Angeles, whomever is against open borders, that's who you give your check mark or you give your vote to. That could be somebody on the Green Party. That could be an independent. That can be, someone that you wrote in. I don't know, but as a block, I'm saying if everyone is on the same accord, especially what if you have two people that are for, open borders? Well, I can't get, but there's a Green Party person or independent on the ballot that's saying they're against it. So shouldn't we not choose that person?
So let's take the question, up a notch. Okay. Let's say it's like a gubernatorial election. You know what I'm saying? You got a Republican versus Democrat running for governor. Both of them are against reparations, but one of them is for open borders and the other one isn't. You saying we should vote for the one that's against the open borders, even though he's against reparations also?
I'm gonna say yeah, only because we haven't got any person really to support, or openly say that they're for reparations other than Marcel Dixon. You have other people talk about it because we forced them to talk about it. As key case in fact, I want to say this was today.
Stacey.
Stacey Abrams, went on her Twitter and talked about, well, I have spoken about reparations, and then she used our word,
I can't
tangible.
I can't find that thread, man. I was looking for the thread. I seen the screenshot of her tweet.
Yeah, I
And
have it because I think I
I went to
commented
her
on it.
page and I couldn't see the thread.
I think I have it, and I'll send it. I can send it to you. So she's even using our language, tangibles. I've spoken about tangibles, and then when you go on her thread, it's the lift all voices.
This
It's
is the
lift all
thing.
voices.
You trying to mention reparations in the 11th hour
Right. Here it is.
because the heat is on.
The heat is on.
The heat is on, and you're looking at these metrics, and they saying it's these niggas on the grassroots, man. The reason why you're in all this trouble is because these niggas on the grassroots, man. They saying reparations is the number one issue. I'm gonna go to her page.
I found it. I'm putting it in our materials right now.
Put it in my I'm on Twitter.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it there.
Yeah,
But
everybody-
yeah. So, you have they know. They know, what I'm saying? And she's losing bad. She's getting her ass handed to her right now because people out there, the black people, in Georgia ain't messing with you, especially black men, because you haven't even spoken to black men.
And shout out to Dr. Kenny.
Yeah.
I see you, Dr. Kenny.
Peace.
Shout out to Dr. Goddamn Kenny.
So yeah, I mean, right. Sis was doing that when she looked like a black Barbie doll.
You know what I'm saying? All right, here you go. I'm getting my black ass in trouble. Hold on, how you get rid of this? This is the thread?
Yeah. You gotta click, so that's the full thread of her talking about
Okay.
reparations.
Got it. Why I said yes to reparations, but how they heard no.
Well, y'all heard what y'all heard, right? I'm sorry. We talked about this. We actually played it. Some of the grassroots brothers, knew where she was. She was campaigning out there, doing some speeches, and she's walking off fast with her handlers. And so he says, Stacey Abrams, and I'm paraphrasing, what about reparations? She turns around and says, reparations, no, and turn around and walk. We heard you, sis.
The fact that she had to come back to this and
Mhm.
tweet about it, it speaks volumes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because if it was a non-issue, you could just ignore it and keep it moving. That happened weeks ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you had to spin back and address that tweet after it went viral because we heard what we heard. A not so brief thread on reparations, my track record, and attempts to distract you from what really matters. That's another thing that burns my grits,
Right.
as they say. They act like we being just controlled. Somebody's running a Jedi mind trick on us and to get us to not support them.
We're retarded.
We see you.
What they're saying is we're low IQ.
We
the
see
same
you,
shit-
Stacey.
Yes. She's calling us low IQ.
You have a website, ma'am. Your website doesn't have the word reparations in it.
Mm-mm.
But you just trying to tell us we missed it. We missed it. I've been talking about reparations. What y'all talking about? That's what you saying.
Right.
Ma'am, it's the word isn't even on your website. I was recently asked about reparations in Athens. The sound is obscured, but I said yes to reparations. I always have, but I will never mislead black people by pretending this is easy. I've had a whole convo about my position as well as what needs to happen next. No, Stacey,
No.
I've looked at those convos and you've never said yes to reparations. You said yes to a study.
Right.
You've
We're not
always
saying
agreed
that.
to a study. I'll give you that. You've always agreed to the study. You always said, yes, we should study it. You never said, yes, we should do it. But the thing that kills me, if you look at the interview, when the dude from the grill, I think it was.
And I believe that's on Tariq's timeline, by the way. I can send that to you right now.
Okay.
The actual video.
Yeah. So when he asked her, should we do reparations or whatever the case may be, she starts talking about a study. And just like she said in the tweet, how it's a complex issue. It's not a simple thing, so we should study it. But then in the same conversation, she explains all the reasons why reparations should be done.
Right.
I don't understand what's so complex. You were able to break it down, Stacey, in a couple of minutes.
Right.
You explained everything. Only thing we got to get to now is the money. So
and you know what? Marcel brought up a good point this morning. He was in the space and he's like, he has a lot of family up in Georgia, the Savannah area, but he's saying, just like he can easily crunch numbers, Georgia is like over 40% Black, right? And so when she went on those brothers show and they were asking her specifically why couldn't she do anything specifically for Black people, and she came up with the excuse of well, Black people are only 12% of the population, blah blah blah. Well, guess what? You're not running for president. You're running for a seat in Georgia specifically. So if you cater to the Black vote, and Black people and had a Black agenda, those 40% will get behind you, fool, and you wouldn't even need anybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Good point. Good point. And it was weird to me because I seen another clip of her and she's standing around a bunch of Negroes and she's talking about Latinos are such and such percent of the population. And another group. Who else did she say? She named 2 groups, non-Black groups. She's standing around a bunch of Negroes. Huh?
Maybe Asians?
Asians, yeah. AAPI, whatever. She said the Asians are this amount of this percentage of the population. The AAPI are this percent of the population. But together, we are this percent of the population. But she's standing in a room full of Negroes.
And nobody challenged it.
Everybody's clapping. I'm confused. I'm like, what the hell am I missing here? Maybe I'm the dumb one. All right, but let's listen to her right here. And copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. This is fair use. Goddamn, this is fair use.
Do you believe that Black people should receive reparations?
I believe.
Do you believe that Black people should receive reparations? That's the question.
Very pointed, direct question.
Let's hear the question again.
Do you believe that Black people should receive reparations?
Do you believe that Black... Hold on, let me ask you a question nicely. Let me ask you a question before we continue with this. Let me ask you a question real quick. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put you on the Summer Jam screen.
Oh, God.
Do you believe Black people should receive reparations?
I believe that Black people, specifically foundational Black Americans, should receive reparations in the form of direct cash payments along with other tangibles. I believe that foundational Black Americans should receive reparations in the form of direct cash payments.
All right, that's how you answer the question. Ask me.
Mr. Sincere, do you believe that foundational Black Americans should receive reparations?
Yes. Absolutely.
The end.
All right.
Yeah.
Did we answer the question? Did we answer the question, family? Let's see how she does with this question.
Cue the word salad.
Let's hear the question again. Make sure we ain't tripping.
Do you believe that Black people should receive reparations?
I believe African Americans, African Americans and Native Americans are entitled to.
Whoa.
Aren't they getting it? Aren't they getting it? Aren't they getting it?
Yo, hold up.
Aren't they getting it already? Ma'am?
Oh, shit.
Ma'am, they're already getting it. Ma'am.
Listen, you are a Black woman. You're campaigning for the Black vote.
No, she's not.
Allegedly. The man asked you a question about Black people. There's not a Native American in the room.
Right. You didn't ask about them.
Nobody asked you about no Native Americans. Mm-hmm. How do you just crowbar a whole nother group into that question?
Right. And you would never hear her say that to another group that's asking her pointed questions about their group. When she's talking to these other groups, she's talking specifically and directly to them, and she's not crowbarring our black asses in it.
Stacey Abrams, do you believe the AAPI community should get a hate crime bill to protect them against racist attacks? You think she's going to say, I think AAIP and the black community need a hate crime bill?
Hell no. She wouldn't disrespect them like that. She wouldn't disrespect them that way.
Even though that would be valid. That would be valid and warranted to crowbar us into that question because we need it more than anyone else. But you crowbar another group into the question who already receives reparations.
Right.
Year after year. They already have land. They already got casinos. They already got sovereignty, tax exemptions, money.
Right.
There's a budget. There's a yearly budget that goes to these different tribes every single year.
And they didn't build shit, and they also helped enslave us. They were slave catchers.
Say that.
I'm just saying. And they didn't build shit, and they were also helping enslave us and were slave catchers.
Did not participate in the development of the United States of America and participated in slavery, owned slaves, served as slave catchers, all type of shit.
Right. And wait.
Negroes are supposed to be included in the 1866 treaties.
Right. And ain't got a dime.
They kicked Negroes off the Dawes rolls and off of the tribes rolls and all of that stuff to receive any of the benefits that they get from the U.S. government that they didn't help build in the first place.
But
what are we talking about, Stacey?
Well, they welcome white folks for $5.
This is who we're supposed to support. This is who we're supposed to support.
Should receive reparations.
I believe African Americans and Native Americans are entitled to reparations. We are the two communities who were legally disenfranchised from the inception of this country. And we are the two communities who had legal structures that were put in place for such a long period of time that our ability to achieve and access opportunity at a level that was commensurate with the rest of America was just not available.
Do you?
Ma'am, Negroes were supposed to be included in what they already get.
Do they not know, or are they playing dumb or playing on our ignorance?
No, they know. They know.
They're hoping that we don't know.
That's a script. That's actually a script. Remember, Joe Biden was saying the same thing. Well, if we're not talking about Native Americans, then we're not talking about reparations.
Right.
That's a script.
Right. That's why she was studying. I mean, babbling a little bit. It took her a little while to kind of articulate it because she had to reach back in her mental, like, what am I supposed to say here?
Yeah. African Americans. African Americans. And Native Americans.
Right. Let me get on script.
Oh, Jesus. All right, let me go back to that thread. Y'all heard it yourself, man. And there was some Negro, I guess some Democratic shit on here who was going back and forth with me too about how Stacey Abrams is some type of reparationist that we just don't know about. We just ain't know she was on that type of time. We just dumb. We just so dumb. Y'all ain't know she been talking about reparations. Okay. She said, I was recently asked about reparations in Georgia. Okay. Here's the truth. For most of my life, I have fought to deliver tangibles.
Our language.
Hashtag tangibles.
Hashtag tangibles, y'all.
Hashtag tangibles. Who's she trying to get this message to? For Black communities, and I deeply believe support must be earned. You're trying to get tangibles for Black communities, but at the same time, you crowbarring all these other groups into it?
Right. Make it make sense.
Because I hear you talk a lot about the API community, about the Latin community, about the Native American community, about the LGBT community. Anytime somebody mentions Black, you're going to mention one of those other communities. Black people have long been the margins of progress and wealth generation in this country. I don't know if I even understand that sentence. Black people have long been the margins of progress and wealth generation in this country. So does that mean everybody else measures how well they're doing versus how bad we're doing?
Right.
That's what that sounds like that means to me. I ain't sure. Black people have long been the margins of progress and wealth generation in this country. Right?
Yep.
As someone raised in the Deep South, my work has consistently focused on closing gaps and centering the needs of Black people. Where? Where?
Deceit.
Illmatic is trending, by the way. I'll see what that's about in a second. 10 years ago, I launched an organization to increase the political power of Black people and work to register.
Where is it?
So by registering 1 million voters in our communities to transform the state of Georgia, that's increasing the political power of Black people?
No, that was her job, which was to just galvanize voters for the Democratic Party. I don't think the Democratic Party feels that she will win. You know, I think that it's very ambitious for them to try and turn Georgia blue. You know, it's very ambitious, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Galvanizing Negroes to vote is not political. It's not increasing political power.
No.
Right? That's not increasing political power. Power is the ability to move forward with your agenda regardless of who opposes it. Simply having the ability to vote doesn't give us that. Right?
We've already been voting. We've already been on the voting for nothing, you know, hamster wheel, you know, for 60 years at this point. So what is that going to do for us? And also while you're, you know, finishing up, I just messaged you another video from Montana the Great, because one of her, you know, workers, you know, that she has, poll workers, knocked on his door, you know, to encourage him to vote for it. And he put the camera on. And it was great. And this is how every Black person needs to speak to any person who's canvassing for a politician for your vote.
I got to see that. Hold on 1 second.
It was amazing. Amazing. Shout out to Montana.
I plan to create real, #tangible, generational wealth in Black communities. Under KEP, it will take 100 years to close the Black business parity gap with majority firms. I can close that gap by the time your preschoolers go off to college. First of all, this is another insult to our intelligence, because KEP can't be in office for 100 years.
Right. And neither can she.
Right. Like governors are not in office for 100 years, man.
Right.
We know that there's a limit on the term, okay? I can close the gap by the time your preschoolers go off to college. By the time your preschoolers go off to college. Okay, so she's basically saying the next 18 years or so. Okay, pathway towards change lies in reducing the over-disciplining of Black children in our schools, decriminalizing weed, restoring free technical college in GA, and supporting our HBCUs. I'm committed to it, and other candidates don't even see these issues as worth their time. Okay, listen, even though I like the issue of reducing discipline for Black children in schools, that's something that needs to be done. All right, decriminalization of weed. Well, okay, I could see, you know, that doesn't just benefit Black people, but I could see how, you know, that could be good.
But wait a minute, isn't she the same person who feels that illegals, you know, undocumented people should also be able to attend HBCUs? If I'm not mistaken, I saw a video on that, and I want to say Kid Gravity, if he's still in here, he actually did a broadcast kind of talking about that. So this isn't a Black agenda. Again, this is a lift off voice, you know, because she's for illegals, you know, and undocumented people and immigrants as well, doing the same thing. So this isn't specific to Black Americans. And
that's where I was going, you know what I'm saying? Because the next thing that she says, restoring free technical college and GA and supporting HBCUs. And we've seen studies that it's a lot of these HBCUs, what do you call it?
They're run by tethers and
Oh yeah,
immigrants
that's
and
true.
stuff like that. Like,
That's true. But I'm talking about the white student body. I'm talking about the amount of white people that are now going to HBCUs.
Outnumber us.
It's starting to be more white people going to HBCUs than black people.
Right.
In many cases. Right? So none of this is specific for black people, and none of it addresses economics.
No.
None of it addresses
check.
the ability to go to college doesn't guarantee that you're going to make a certain amount of money. None of this closes that gap that she's talking about.
Nothing.
Right? They're going to stop body slamming kids in schools. That's great. That doesn't address economics. They're going to decriminalize weed. Okay, so niggas going to stop going to jail for smoking a blunt. Cool. But that doesn't close the wealth gap.
No.
Supporting HBCUs, all right, that's what's up for those that want to go. But that doesn't address the economics, though. What is she talking about?
She's just talking. That's the thing.
All right, let me see this video you're talking about.
She's just talking. Mo babble.
Hold on.
Can you open it? Because it's like a little small. There you go.
You know, Black Americans, we need reparations. We deserve reparations.
Yeah, because everybody else gets them.
Everybody else gets them.
Yeah, the Indians,
the Japanese.
So they know.
I was going to say that her own street team basically is agreeing with the Foundation of Black American. Let's go.
You know, but us, you know, and after we deal with, so it's like, and then when we asked her about reparations, because we have, she goes and she starts talking about how many amount of votes we need. We don't have the certain amount of voters. We need no. Japanese Americans never had that many amount of voters.
Right.
Native Americans never had that many amount of voters. So why, when it comes to us, why do we need that many amount of voters? No, we need somebody who's going to specifically stand on tangible for Black Americans. Us.
Right.
If you want my vote, you know, she said she want the black male vote. Don't talk about immigrants. Don't talk about I'm not an immigrant. You know what I'm saying? Talk about a Black American. Talk about me. And then she turns around and said she supports the police and funding the police. Come on, that's the last thing that we need is police funding. but she's funded by
that's that coon laugh.
Look at her though.
That's that coon laugh. Hold on. Let me hear that coon laugh. That's that coon laugh. The coons get uncomfortable when you say some black shit. That coon laugh. Watch it.
The last thing that we need is police funding. but she's funded by the police. If you go look at her donations and where they come from the police. So it's only right
well,
that she
need police in some, you know.
No, we can police ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you do need the police.
No, because if what we need is executive protection services. See, we need to police everybody else. Okay, because for real, because Black Americans, we haven't. No, we
That's
deal
that
with
coon
people,
laugh.
these people treat us. You know,
that laugh means what she's hearing sounds utterly ridiculous to her.
Or is it a nervous laugh?
It is because she doesn't want to outwardly disagree, but that coon spirit is in shock. That coon spirit is in shock. So the laugh.
She already agreed in the beginning. I believe she agrees with this man, and that laugh is like, damn.
No, she agreed. Right. She agreed with the part about the reparations. Everybody, all these people receiving reparations except for Black people. She's like, yeah, I can get with that because that will affect her bank account. So she's like, right. Yeah, you know, I can get with that.
But why are you canvassing for a woman?
When she starts talking about police, defunding the police, well, hold on, wait a minute now. We need the police now. We can't police ourselves now. No, I don't know what you're talking about policing ourselves. Executive protection. Oh no, what is this man talking about? That's what she got beside herself. Oh, pay attention. Watch.
Bag that up a little bit. Bag that up.
When you start talking about the police, that's when that coon spirit came alive.
And then, but she's funded by the police. If you go look at her donations and where they come from the police. So it's only right that she.
Need police.
Well, we do need the police now.
In some, you know.
No, we can police ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
do need the police.
No.
She got so nervous she dropped the pen. That nigga said we could police ourselves.
I just noticed that. I just noticed the pen drop.
But now, wait a minute now. We do need the police now. Come on now.
No, because if what we need is executive protection services. See, we need to police everybody else. Okay, because for real, because Black Americans, we haven't. No, we deal with the way these people treat us. If you want to decrease crime, you have to have tangibles for Black Americans. You have to have opportunities. Clayton County is number 79 in GDP, and the other 10 counties or the other metropolitans is in the top 10. Fayette is number 3. How we got Hartsfield Jackson? How you go from Fulton County and you skip over Clayton County, and then you go to Fayette County with all the resources? But you put all us in right. You put all us in Clayton County. They cut the bus line for years, stacked a bunch of Black Americans when they moved them all from in Section 8 housing for the Olympics. You cut the bus line. We don't got no way to get to the resources. You stack people on top of each other with no resources. It's going to be high crime. It don't matter how much policing you do. That's not going to fix it. Because police don't stop crime. They just report it. What stops crime is opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Right. Community centers. Streamlining our kids into aviation. Streamlining our kids. We don't got nobody streamlining our kids into what we need. So this is what Stacey Abrams need to be talking about if she want my vote. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he just schooled her ass.
Man, I'm just saying. And look, the cold part about it is she knocked on the door of a brother who knew his shit. He knows Georgia. He knows what's going on in the different counties. You know what I'm saying? She probably wasn't even abreast of that information. She went to that door with her script, and that was it. She was not prepared for that thorough, foundational Black American man schooling her ass on what Black Americans need and want for our votes.
Shout out to that brother, man. Yeah, that was that was good.
That was excellent.
That's how you handle that right there.
That's how you handle every person that knocks on your door asking you to vote for any candidate that does not have a Black agenda.
I think that kind of does it for today's episode.
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
Wait, is Jesse Paris still in here? Jesse Paris, are you still in the chat? Because I need to know when our Q&A spaces with both yourself and Marcel is happening. I know you reached out. We need to get this popping, brother.
Yeah.
Where you at, Jesse?
Let me see.
I've been waiting.
And by the way, man, this might not be the end of the yay conversation, man. I know there's a lot that we didn't touch on.
There is, and well, I do want to touch on one more thing before we go, or maybe a couple, but I'm not sure if anyone heard this story. But civil rights and educational leader Jean McGuire, 91 years old, stabbed multiple times in Boston Park. She was walking her dog. A 91-year-old woman. She is expected to survive and recover, thank God. But who what is that? What's going on in Boston? Attacking a 91-year-old woman.
And she's a known activist, right?
A known activist, yes. Now, this happened in Placey Park in Jamaica Plain at about 8:30 p.m. Miss Jean, what was you doing outside at 8:30?
8:30.
Ain't it dark? It's dark, ain't it?
No, it ain't really dark yet. Not yet.
I don't know.
Shit. Ain't but so much hours in the day you get off work. You gotta take the dog for a walk.
She ain't working at 91. I hope she better not be working.
Yeah. Boston racist as hell. Y'all know that,
right?
Y'all know that racism is thick out there. That shit is like up north Mississippi or something.
I don't like how they said this, though, in one of the paragraphs. This is on people.com, by the way. It says McGuire was the first woman of color elected to the Boston School Committee in 1991. Station WGBH reports she helped found METCO, Metropolitan Council of Educational Opportunity, a program in the 1960s as a way to help desegregate Boston schools. She's a Black woman. She's not a woman of color. She's a Black woman.
Right.
Don't be woman of color in our people.
Shout out to the old guard. I modded you up. The old guard. I modded you up.
And then I don't. For some reason, I don't think this one is going to let me open it. Let me see. Hopefully, there's an X right there. Is it going to let me open it? But that 15-year-old
Got killed by the police.
child that was shot in his head in Mississippi. He died days later. Not sure if any of you saw the video, but his mother arrived to the hospital after being told what happened with her son. And as she's entering the hospital, there's a police officer saying, "Welcome to hell." What a way to greet a grieving mother who's just learning what happened to her son, who's trying to get to her son. And it looks like they were kind of giving her a hard time, about entering the hospital to get to him, and said, "Welcome to hell."
Yeah, and it
What
sounds
kind
like
of shit is that?
they kind of had it out for this family too. You know
Yeah,
what I
because
mean?
there was something happened with the uncle, I think 4 years before, 4 months before, something like that, where the same officer shot this child's family member
And killed them, right?
and killed him. Yes. Same
So that,
officer. I don't believe in coincidences.
that's crazy, man. And just the way that they was treating the mother, like you said.
Yeah.
And sometimes, what city is that?
This was in Mississippi.
Probably one of them small towns, right?
hmm And he was coming out of a Family Dollar, and you even had white people in their car saying that, I guess when they were on the loudspeaker, whatever, saying, throw your hands up. He had his hands up. Every witness accounted for that. So I'm trying to figure out, one, where's the body camera footage, and also the footage from the store. There had to be some. I need to see video that supports their account. Allegedly it was 4 other children, all under the age of 18, that were in the car that he was riding in when he went to that Family Dollar store. And to my knowledge, no gun was found.
Mm. I saw another shooting with a 15-year-old kid. It was a 15-year-old white boy. Shot and killed his brother and an officer and like 4 or 5 other people.
That was in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah. And it was a couple of those victims were black too.
Two of them.
2 of them.
2 of them.
Okay.
The police officer that he killed actually lived, I think, a couple houses over on his street. That was a Latino police officer. So that was, I believe, outside of his brother, that was the second victim, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy, man.
15 years old. The Rittenhouse effect.
Right. Arrested without incident.
Not a scratch on him. They didn't even pinch him.
Scratch on him.
They didn't pinch his ass. And then another one that I wanted to talk about before we go is a Missouri sex dungeon victim who escaped house of horror told rescuers that sicko killed 2 of her friends. Now, this, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a video circulating with this black guy. I believe he was a truck driver or something. And he was talking about all these missing girls that was happening in that town. And so the police officers released some type of statement saying that was just a rumor. None of that shit was happening out there. Like, this is just a rumor. Don't believe the hype. Right. And in the same town, this is the same area in which this black man was reporting on, because he was upset that it was getting no media attention.
Right.
No media attention. And then you have this sicko, I don't know if you guys can see him, but he's the person
right there
that was possibly kidnapping these girls, and thank God one was able to escape.
Some dungeon type shit, they said.
A dungeon, yes.
And she said there was other girls who didn't survive.
Yes.
Yeah, and people had been talking about that on social media for a while. They were saying all these black girls was coming up missing, black girls specifically coming up missing in this same area, back to back. And the mainstream media wasn't talking about it. There was no formal investigations taking place or nothing. So it sounds like this person might have had some type of connections with law enforcement or something where he was being protected.
Exactly.
Like another Dahmer type situation where they were allowing this serial killer, to terrorize this black community.
And they didn't care because the victims were black. So, because they were black, there was no need to investigate. You know what I'm saying? That's how they treat us. And I think that's what happened. And the girl that escaped was 22 years old. 24-year-old woman who escaped Timothy Haslett Jr.'s sex dungeon last week claimed her rescuers that the suspect killed 2 of her friends.
Yeah, man. That goes back to what our brother was saying in the video about, we need to police ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We need to get these executive protections in place. You know what I mean? And we need to not just police ourselves, but policing the community in general, policing others, man. To prevent.
Didn't that happen too? I don't know if it was Missouri. What was it? Was it Milwaukee? Same kind of situation where they were repeating. Yeah, they were saying that, this person, was kidnapping girls or, keeping them there as sex slaves, and the police wouldn't listen. So a bunch of brothers stormed the house and rescued them themselves.
And burnt the damn house down.
Shout out to them brothers.
Right. Yeah, that was Milwaukee. Yeah, man. So yeah, like we were saying, man, there was a lot that happened over this past week, man. It was a bunch of heavy stuff that we could have got into today, but
One more. I have to. Sorry. I know we gotta go, but I have to.
It's nice out today. We had a beautiful day. I need some of this sunlight so I can throw this chicken on the grill.
There's one more. I promise y'all. California makes it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians.
Man, I saw that.
California, this is on New York Post, by the way, nypost.com. So California makes it illegal for doctors to disagree with politicians. My question is, when did politicians become doctors?
Man, the doctor, they putting a muzzle on doctors, man.
Right.
They putting the muzzle on the doctors to say, yo, if we say the vaccines is effective, you better not disagree.
Right.
Or you could lose your license.
Right. Like, come on, y'all. And so this is where, again, when we're talking about, especially locally, we do need to pay attention to those ballots. 1, vote against anybody that's for open borders. And 2, shit like this. Which I believe that they're sneaking a lot of this verbiage into bills that we're unaware of. It'd be a bill about one thing, it can be transportation or, something. And then they're kind of sneaking these things in these bills. So we're not made abreast of it until after the fact. But yeah, we cannot get along with this bullshit at all. Right. We can't afford to do this.
Facts, man. This is like steps to Nazi Germany.
Yes.
These are the steps to Nazi Germany, man. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up too. Because I saw that. I was like, yo, I know California is the testing grounds.
Always the testing ground. So yeah, but anyway, we're gonna see y'all on Wednesday. And while we doing that, let me check to see who's gonna be here Wednesday, because I forgot who's our guest for the Black Business Showcase. As you guys know, we're here each and every week on Wednesdays and Thursdays for our Black Business Showcase, where we have entrepreneurs and business owners on the show discussing business. And yes, they let us all in their Black business. And so on this Wednesday, which is the 19th, who do we have? Let me see. I don't have my calendar with me, but I have it in my phone. I keep it on my phone. Is this it? No. Wednesday's the 19th, right?
It should be. Sounds about right. And since you brought that story up too, I'm gonna take us out of here with this before we bounce.
The heck do we have on the 19th, y'all? I'm a surprise, y'all, because I don't have my calendar with me. I thought I had it in my phone, but my calendar is upstairs. I don't think that Wednesday is the
Today is the 16th, so yeah. The 19th.
I don't know. It's upstairs though. But join us Wednesday. We have a show.
If it's my man from New Orleans, I've been looking forward to that show.
Bob's. Sorry. We have sorry you guys, I do have it. We have Bob's Publishing. Bob's Publishing. This will be this Wednesday. Make sure you guys tune in 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I think that's the brother with the children's book, and he did a crowdfunding for that too. I'm definitely want to talk to him.
Yes.
Definitely want to talk to him. So yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yes.
Right. And so I'm gonna take us out of here with this Plandemic joint, man. Before we get out of here, make sure y'all stream Plandemic. It's available on all your favorite streaming platforms right now. DJ RP Beats, Sincere Love to God, Plandemic, and that does it for today's episode of Sincere Love to GodCast. Remember, we are not the master teachers, but we are the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Peace and Black love.
mRNA vaccines are a powerful way to protect our bodies against infectious diseases.
We gotta talk about this, John.
Here's a little story that might be told.
Who shot you? The nurse or the doctor? That needle in your arm was a wicked concoction. Moderna or Pfizer? Remember what I heard from Elijah. It's written in your scripture that the devil's a liar. Something to think about when you're watching the news. All of a sudden you're fearful and you're kind of confused. And Fallon Dershowitz isn't a silent murderer. Then why he won't debate reason Islam? This ain't the worst of it. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Let me remind you, who's really calling the shots in Wuhan, China? That paper mask make you feel protected. You scared to visit your parents and now they feel neglected. You blame Trump, but that was Biden and you still rejected. Or should I give you the science on how they steal elections? I digress, but here's something to digest. These white supremacists dying off, quiet as kept. I digress, but here's something to digest. These white supremacists dying off. Plandemic. Plandemic. Freedom to choose, freedom to rules. The question we all gotta ask: what is freedom to you? From me to you, it's the freedom to move, but freedom ain't free. What's the value of freedom to you? Freedom to choose, freedom to rules. The question we all gotta ask: what is freedom to you? From me to you, it's the freedom to move, but freedom ain't free. What's the value of freedom to you? Ivermectin prevent high infection. Saying you really got that 10-4 kufi on, so Spotify they might reject them. From my perspective, there's some kind of weapon, and that Tuskegee experiment ain't the only thing that I could reference. There's Henrietta Lacks and plenty other facts. The dark history of medical experimentation on blacks. Now, what if natural immunity could truly be the best line of defense, and that's what I choose to believe? You disagree, well, that isn't of any consequence. You should have the right to choose if you truly was free. To keep the job, you gotta take the jab, and you can't sue the vaccine manufacturer. Who gon' take the rap? In the event I have an adverse reaction, I'm feeling like Kyrie Irving. What's the worst that can happen? I know the price, I know the value too. Your whole economy is based on the energy that I could produce, and nothing in this world can stop the truth. A pestilence from heaven, I heard the word in the garden of fruit. So why you think they deplatformed the minister? A lot of y'all is missing the backbone. Rizzle, what up? We need more like you that read more like you. But either this plot is plain to see, or we all psychic. Freedom to choose, freedom to rules. The question we all gotta ask: what is freedom to you? From me to you, it's the freedom to move, but freedom ain't free. What's the value of freedom to you? Freedom to choose, freedom to rules. The question we all gotta ask: what is freedom to you? From me to you, it's the freedom to move, but freedom ain't free. What's the value of freedom to you?
Sincere love to God. Everything you couldn't be.
Nobody's talking about godly composure in the face of these Nazis. Most resilient, we poster children of prophecy fulfillment. We gotta be God's children.